someone loves me. David worked technology trying to further his education, busting hump day after day for a week of vacation. Just a couple of classes left before he took the final test and got a huge pay raise at work. He's moving up to a desk. Now Carol was a little shy, she had a thing for bigger guys. David was a bigger guy who had a thing for Carol's eyes, and every time he caught a glance he sank a little deeper, and every time she blinked she saw a little clearer. Now Carol got adrenaline and felt knots in her tummy when David finally asked her out, and she stood there like a dummy. She was giggling to herself, trying to catch her composure, rosy red cheek. She was like, sure, what time are you coming over? And that was the beginning of a beautiful performance. They snuggled on the sofa, held each other there till morning. The love began to blossom, and Carol found his soulmate, and David found love in a world of so much hate. The months went flying by, and the bond formed a force shield. Love welded them together like two pieces of steel. It was too real. Had God created perfection in a couple of human beings? Could this have been his intention? Now, Carol had always dreamed of a big white wedding. David was a little scared, but he knows that's where they're heading, so he saved up all his money. In the following spring, he pulled a ring out of his pocket and he dropped to both knees. And at that moment in time, he was the most nervous man. He took a deep breath and asked for her hand. She held it out shaking. She had tears in her eyes. She let him sing his song and said, yes, I'll be your wife. And from that moment forward, the bond had been sealed. There wasn't a soul alive who could know how they feel. They started making plans, and David bought a house, and she would stay there on the weekends and help him gut it out. Everything was perfect, and the sky looked its clearest. David was whipped, but he wanted Carol near him. And Carol was ecstatic, but she had this pain in her head. She'd see the doc tomorrow. She's sure that it was stress. And she got up in the morning and she went to see the doctor, who sent her straight to a specialist. She was there in an hour, and Carol was under the knife the very next day because Carol had cancer, the kind that wouldn't go away. So David stopped working. He made a home in the hospital. Day after day wondering, how could this be possible? The operation was rough. 2 weeks she's been unconscious. She wasn't getting better quick. From the start it was obvious. But David held true and never left her side. Except for when he cried, he would take it outside. He prayed every day for one last glimpse in her eyes. But David never got it, because today Carol died. He was there when it happened. When it did, he still clung to her. He sobbed into her stomach, slipped the ring off her finger. The love of his life, he said, you know I'll always miss you. And Carol whispered softly, Dave, I'll always be with you. A couple of days later, in his best of black suits, he went down to the church and sat alone in the pew. With the ring in his pocket, in love and intention, he walked up to her coffin. He knelt on one of the benches. He said, I wanted you to have this, so I'm doing it now. He put the ring on her finger and recited his vows, y'all. Trust this story's true, with just one mistake. It wasn't really Carol, it was Frank.